News 5 investigates the first TV station to break the news about a $2.5 million check to settle a discrimination lawsuit filed by a dozen female officers against the Colorado Springs Police Department.
The city says its insurance company will pay the claim, but Chief Investigative Reporter Eric Ross uncovered the city omitted key information on how your taxpayer dollars were spent.
That's right, Robin Elizabeth. Taxpayers are not on the hook for the $2.5 million settlement check. But what the city and police department failed to tell you is how much of your tax money it spent on outside legal fees to defend a fitness test a federal judge ruled was discriminatory. A victory for some officers involved in a 3-year battle against their own department.
They sacrificed a lot by signing on to this lawsuit, and they showed a lot of courage in standing together for what they believed was right.
In 2015, a dozen female officers filed suit over a one-size-fits-all fitness test. Nearly 40% of the female force over the age of 40 initially failed. As a result, they were stripped of their uniforms, taken off the streets, placed on desk duty, and threatened with termination.
Physical fitness is a part of law enforcement, and we at no time said that there should not be a level of fitness for law enforcement officers.
Maggie Santos is one of the plaintiffs. She and other officers who joined the lawsuit argue the test should be based on age and gender. A judge ultimately sided with them.
The very young don't understand what law enforcement can be or will be for them in 20 years.
Santos says contrary to public opinion, law enforcement often involves social work and talking with people, not chasing them. Out of your 24-year career with Colorado Springs Police, how many times would you say that you got involved in a foot chase or actually had to get physical with somebody?
Maybe 4 foot pursuits, and that was when I was very young. I chased because that's what people think you should do. What you should actually do is use your brain, set up a perimeter, use your resources.
News 5 Investigates checked with multiple police agencies throughout Colorado and the nation, and we could not find a single department that implemented a one-size-fits-all fitness exam. Police Chief Pete Carey has refused to go on camera and explain the physical fitness exam a federal judge ruled was discriminatory. In the lawsuit, the women also alleged Commander Thor Eels, the co-chair of a committee that implemented the exam, referred to some female officers as Smurfs or Shamu the killer whale. Eels left the department 6 months before the $2.5 million settlement was reached. And in addition to the settlement agreement, News 5 Investigates uncovered the police department paid nearly $1 million in legal fees to Ogletree Deacons, an outside firm hired to fight this case. $43,000 of that was spent in the last 6 months after a federal judge handed down his ruling, information the city and police department omitted in this press release issued Friday. Now, 3 of the 12 police officers who sued the department have since left, but they did so voluntarily, even though their jobs would have been protected under the ruling. The Colorado Springs Police Department and city sent out a joint statement saying, in part, sensitive legal and employment issues related to this case prevent them from taking questions from reporters. Now, Robin Elizabeth, you know, an interesting thing here, I also reached out to the Colorado Springs Police Protective Association. They defended this fitness test back in 2015. However, when I spoke with the new executive director today, she tells me all of a sudden the association has no comment.
Very interesting. You followed this for 3 years now, since day one when you broke this story. Is there anything the police department, the city could have done to save taxpayers some money here?
You know, anytime you're dealing with a situation like this where somebody files a notice of claim or a notice to file a lawsuit, there are going to be legal fees involved. We know that. However, what we find a little interesting is that it appears the police department was going to file an appeal after the federal judge made his ruling back in July, because more than $40,000 of taxpayer money was spent between July 2017 and January of this year for whatever reason. In all, we're talking about nearly $1 million in outside legal fees, and if you do the math, you could hire about 19 new police officers, which the department says it needs more officers out there on the force.
That's right.
A lot of money involved here.
A lot of money.
Eric, thanks. And of course, if you notice government waste or have a problem you'd like Eric to investigate, call our tip line, 719-228-6275, or send an email to news5investigates@koaa.com.